So when people make the choice to fully retire, one of the big things we see is they lose their sense of identity and purpose.
It can mean working fewer hours or shifting to freelance or consulting, which I think we've seen even a lot of our clients choose.
There are also big psychological issues with no longer receiving that direct deposit into our bank accounts.
Downshifting can help in some ways. One is that you're able to delay Social Security. So working part-time might let you defer your benefits.
And then the last thing we see, which is really, really sad, is we do see increased levels of anxiety and depression for some folks going into retirement. Again, especially if these are not feelings that they were prepared to face. Hello, hello, welcome back.
Hello, good to see you as always.
Great to see you, my pattern sister. We always inevitably end up with something similar or, same coloring, same kind of vibe.
I'll say same vibe, something.
Yeah, like right there. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Living Richly with Curo. This is episode number 57, and my name is Anne McCabe. I am the CEO and a partner here at Curo Private Wealth, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely partner, Atricia.
Hello, I am Atricia Roberts, COO and partner here at Curo. Thanks for coming back or for checking us out for the first time.
Absolutely. We love all of you and we appreciate all of you. And speaking of, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping from the beginning. So if you have not joined us before, again, warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions that you would love for us to answer on the podcast, send them our way. Send them to podcast@curoprivatewealth.com. And if we pick your question and answer it on the podcast, we will send you an Amazon gift card as a thank you. And as always, make sure to subscribe so that you are alerted when we drop new episodes, which is every Friday. And please give us the ratings and reviews. We love hearing from you all, and we want to hear, feedback. We want to hear what's working, what's not working, any ideas you may have, what you're loving, what we should definitely keep doing, that kind of thing. So please send those in because we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we welcome them. And we always love the ideas too for new topics.
We do. Yes, absolutely. Because we want this to be meaningful for you. This is not for us. This is for you. So let us know what is top of mind. So speaking of today, both of us are excited about our topic. Our topic is downshifting as opposed to full-blown retiring. So we will get into more details around downshifting. But before we do that, we always love to do a quick A-team catch-up. So, Atricia, what is new and exciting in your world?
Yay. So I have a very fun story to share. But first,
Yay.
I will say happy National Women's Golf Day.
Oh.
So first Tuesday in June is National Women's Golf Day. Started recognizing it 10 years ago. So it's like the 10th anniversary of it. But for all the women golfers out there, happy golf day. Unfortunately, I'm not playing today.
I know. That stinks. Darn.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so just want to recognize that. Okay, but here is the fun story. Mm-hmm. So I have a sorority sister, or call a line sister, that's in town from Georgia this week. Well, she was here this weekend, still here. So we decided to meet up for drinks at the Rooftop Lounge. It's in, I think that's technically Northeast DC, but it was originally called the Upstairs. It's now called Sly, I think is the name of it, the Sly Rooftop. But it's on the roof of the Morrow Hotel, if you're familiar, kind of near Union Market. So I get down there, I park, and I'm just walking up the sidewalk, and I see a guy standing on the sidewalk talking on the phone. But I'm like, wait, I know this person. So I look, and when I realize who it is, it's Marcus Samuelson. Now, I'm a foodie girl. So for all of the other foodies out there, Marcus Samuelson is like a really famous, well-known chef and restaurateur. He's got restaurants all over the country. He's been on like Top Chef as a judge a bunch of times, like all of those kind of like food competition judge shows. He's always there. So he's standing there, but he can see me like staring at him.
Like fangirling.
He can see me staring at him. So he like waves and smiles. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I'm thinking, like, why is he just randomly standing here? I look over and there's a restaurant, Marcus DC. Like, it's dark, but I can see the name on the thing. And I'm like, wait, is he opening a restaurant here?
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
I was like, okay. So I go upstairs to the roof. I'm waiting on my sorority sisters. I'm texting my sister, like, oh my God, I just saw Marcus Samuelson on the sidewalk. Around the corner walks Marcus Samuelson. He's like, hey, I saw you like looking at the restaurant. You want to go take a look?
Shut up.
I kid you not. At this point, I'm trying to keep from like, you know how I
Yeah.
acted around Brian Voltaggio, right? When we met.
Yes, yes. You literally I've never seen you not have words, but yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. So he gives me a tour. Now the opening for the restaurant is tonight. So the night we're recording this. So it wasn't even open. Like they're down there
What?
setting up for the grand opening. He gives me this tour of the restaurant. He's like, what do you think? Like, we got these local artists from the DC Metro. It's a beautiful, the restaurant is
Oh
gorgeous.
my
Shows me the
gosh.
menu. It's like fantastic. So I'm like, thank you so much. Like, this has been such a privilege. And he was like, well, come back by tomorrow. Like, just, it's the opening. We don't have reservations, but come to the bar. Like, just come to the bar and look for me.
Oh my gosh. Is he
Like,
married?
okay, yes, he's married. But
Darn.
if he were not, he might be the man of my dreams, quite
Yeah,
honestly. Like,
legitimately.
imagine me traveling the world just eating at restaurants. Anyway, but yeah,
Well,
so that's my catch
I
up.
don't want you to travel the world and leave us, but aside from that, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so sorry to drone on about that, but it was just, it was one of those moments. Like, how did this just
Wow.
happen? It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was like, is
Wow.
this really happening? This is happening. He like takes a picture. So by the time we get back up, my line sisters are there. So he takes a picture with us on the roof. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. The fact that he came back,
He
like,
came
what?
back.
Who does that?
Who
Who does
does
that?
that?
Who does that?
Oh my goodness. Because he definitely saw me fangirling.
I
So I
mean,
guess
yeah.
the bar upstairs, the rooftop, originally was the upstairs, but I think it's part of his ownership. Like now
Okay.
it's a part of the restaurant that's also going to be downstairs. Because when he was kind of walking through, you could see people like knew the people working there knew who he was. But yes, I'm literally texting my sister like, "Oh my God, I saw Marcus Samuelson. He's like coming around the corner. Like, hey, I was looking for you."
Oh my I can't. I can't even. I can't even. Wow.
That was
That is
amazing. It was
amazing.
amazing. So yeah, so
Amazing.
I should be home packing for our work trip tonight. I'm gonna be going by the bar.
You should totally do that.
Anyway, yeah,
Absolutely.
my catch up took way
Absolutely.
too long, but I had to share that story with
That is amazing. Oh my
you.
gosh. I can't wait to hear about it. I can't wait to check out the restaurant.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah,
So
very
fun.
exciting.
So
So
fun.
exciting. So thank you, Marcus Samuelson.
Yeah. Thank you for making all of our days and our weeks with that awesome
Yes.
story. Like
Yeah.
again, who does that? I mean, you know, sometimes see famous people and have your moments and they like
Yeah.
never come, you know, hunt you down and try to talk to you or take a picture or give you a freaking private tour of a restaurant that hasn't been
Yeah.
opened yet.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was fun. It was
Incredible.
fun.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. So that's my little happy moment for the day. What's going on with you?
Super happy. Well, I'm happy too. I actually learned transcendental meditation
Oh, yes.
over the weekend. And at the risk of sounding like I'm exaggerating, like I am already, you know, four days in, I guess, feeling massive benefits. The way that you learn it is you do like a one-on-one instruction with a certified teacher. And then there's some coursework follow-up and then like some group sessions. But after doing the first meditation with the teacher, I am telling you, I have not felt that level of like deep relaxation and stress release in a very long time. And that was my goal. He asked me, you know, what my goal was about learning TM. And for me, it's absolutely just a, you know, stress reliever. And also, as I've shared with you many times and on the podcast as well, I've you know, gone in and out of having a really solid meditation practice. And I really want to reestablish that. But it's been really incredible. And the thing that I love about it the most is sort of one of the the mantras about it is it's just supposed to be easy. Like just take things as they come, which I think is so beautiful because so many things in life are not easy. And so for this to be, for you to be embracing the easiness and the
Yeah,
ease and just kind of like not judging whatever your experience is, it's been really, really incredible. So I just wanted to share that because I'm super happy so far with how great I
that's
feel.
wonderful.
And yeah, I'm really excited. So that is my update.
Yeah. So now will you like have to see a coach regularly, or you just
Nope.
learn the practice and you just can repeat it on your own?
Yep. You
Okay.
learn the practice and optimally you're doing 20 minutes of meditation twice a day,
Oh.
which for someone who was struggling to get like 5 minutes in, like quite a stretch. But the benefits have been so profound that I'm like, yeah, I will make this a priority. I will make this happen. The first one is like right when you wake up. So that's,
Mm,
easier.
yeah.
I am having to wake up earlier, which I already wake up early. So
You're already up with the roosters at this point. Like
yeah. Now I'm like up with the people that are still out clubbing. That's how early I'm up.
right. That's how early you're up these days.
Yeah. But it's fun. So I'll keep y'all posted. But so
Yeah.
far, so good.
Yeah, you've talked a lot about meditation. I mean, in our conversations personally, but then also on the podcast. And I've told you, like, one of the things that's hard for me is one, turning my brain off, and then not knowing if I'm doing it right. So I think the idea of it's being easy might be tempting to try. So let me know how it goes because I definitely need something to help turn my brain off from time to time.
Yeah.
Because I laugh about you having a lot of tabs open in your computer. That's how my brain feels all the time.
Yeah.
There's just like
Yeah.
way too many tabs always open.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, we all, I
Yeah,
totally relate to
that's
that. So,
wonderful.
yeah, I mean, literally the instructor was like, the only way that you know that you're doing this correctly is it has to feel easy. Like you're
Mm,
not trying to control, you're not trying to manipulate, you're not trying to force anything. If you are doing those things, then you're not doing it right. But if
right.
you're just letting it be easy and, dealing with things as they come, then that is how you know you're doing it right. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, I can do
I can do that.
that.
Oh, I
So,
love that. And I'm
yeah.
glad it's making you feel good.
Yes, me too. Me too. It's great. So far so good.
Yeah.
So I will
Well,
keep
now
y'all
I'm
keep
jealous
y'all
of that
posted.
feeling. I'm like, oh, I want some of that.
Well, there's actually a place in Bethesda. So I went to the place in Fairfax, but there's a
Okay.
center in Bethesda. So
Okay.
just saying,
All right. We'll see.
if you're interested. Okay. We'll keep everybody posted.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
Yeah. All right. So now on to our topic du jour. So this is something that me and Atricia really love talking about with clients, especially
Mhm.
as they're getting to the potential phase of their life, which is sometimes retirement. But today we're going to talk about a different way to think about retirement. So instead of like totally flipping off the switch and completely retiring, maybe if that doesn't feel right to you, or if you're concerned about some of the frequent challenges that people face when they retire, you may want to consider downshifting. So we are going to start with what is downshifting.
Yeah, so downshifting is, as Anna mentioned, an alternative. It's about recalibrating the way in which you're working and how much you're working. So think about it as stepping off the gas. So where your full-time employment was gas on, acceleration on, this is not necessarily getting out of the car in a full-blown retirement or going to park, but just stepping off the gas a little bit. So it can mean working fewer hours or shifting to freelance or consulting, which I think we've seen even a lot of our clients choose to do when they quote unquote retire from their careers, transitioning to a different role in the same field, transitioning to a different industry like nonprofit, if you've been in corporate America all of your career, or simply just offloading the parts of the job that you don't love, the parts that drain you, right? Delegating those to someone else so that you're just doing the part of the work that you actually love. So there are three reasons why people are now considering this option. And if you're interested in looking more into the idea of downshifting, we actually did a webinar for clients and guests about the non-financial aspects of retirement to give you some ideas of reasons why downshifting might be an option for you. So Google Curo Private Wealth non-financial aspects of retirement to find that webinar on YouTube. It'll bring it up and check it out. It may be something that you might be interested in if you're in that runway leading to retirement.
Yeah. And while you're on our YouTube channel, just go ahead and hit that subscribe
Yeah,
button.
subscribe. Get the
Please and thank
notifications so
you.
you'll always know when something new's there for you.
Yes, exactly. So, one of the things we talk about in that webinar, and we wanted to talk about today because it is very relevant to the idea of downshifting, is there are some common challenges that people face when they retire. And these are real and they can be a bit shocking if you are not prepared for them or if you're not aware that these are very normal and common things to feel when you decide to retire. So when people make the choice to fully retire, one of the big things we see is they lose their sense of identity and purpose. If you think about how much of our identity is tied up in what we do, think about when someone asks you, tell me a little bit about yourself. A lot of us will start with things like what we do for our careers or what we do in business. When you don't have that anymore, there can be this massive sense of loss, and it can be really jarring. Sometimes people call this the retirement cliff because one day you are XYZ at, ABC company, and the next day you're like, oh my gosh, who am I? You don't have that identity, yeah, and that purpose anymore. Second, think about your social relationships, your friends, your coworkers, and how much time you end up spending with them. And when you retire, you really have to make an effort to continue to have social interactions because you don't have work anymore, right? So a lot of people also struggle with the idea that many of their social relationships were also tied up in their jobs. When they no longer have that, they also lose their relationships and their social connections. A change and a reduction in mental stimulation. Again, when you're not working anymore, think about how many problems we all solve on a daily basis and how much we're learning and how much our brain is working when we are in our day to day. When we don't have that anymore, we can experience a reduction in mental stimulation. There are also big psychological issues with no longer receiving that direct deposit into our bank accounts. It feels very strange, like something is really wrong. And even if you have crunched the numbers and you've implemented a plan with, folks like us at Curo, it can still be a little shocking the first day that you no longer have that inflow come into your bank account. And then the other thing that we see is just a bunch of extra time with people not really knowing how they're going to allocate that time. They wake up in the morning and instead of having their routine of whatever they do before they go to work, now they're like twiddling their thumbs, like, I have no idea what to do with all this extra time. And then the last thing we see, which is really, really sad, is we do see increased levels of anxiety and depression for some folks going into retirement. Again, especially if these are not feelings that they were prepared to face. And that's really sad because think about how many decades you spend working and saving and planning for this amazing chapter in your life. And it can be an amazing chapter in your life. But if you haven't thought about these things and really planned properly, you can experience anxiety and depression. So, downshifting can help with some of these challenges that we mentioned by continuing to give you a sense of routine and purpose. And a lot of data shows that many retirees end up going back to work. We call it like the failed retirement. They go back to work within 5 years after retiring because of some of these challenges. So downshifting can be a really nice, like, phasing into retirement without completely cutting off the switch. And then the last thing we wanted to share was there is quite a bit of research that shows the benefits of longevity when you continue to feel a sense of purpose. So by downshifting, again, you can continue to have that identity and purpose while you still get some balance and you're not working, hopefully crazy hours anymore. But that could potentially help you live longer and healthier, which we all,
Yeah,
I believe, are attempting to do.
we're all attempting to do
Yeah,
longer, healthier, and happier.
exactly.
So there's also a financial angle to downshifting because it can offer a powerful financial bridge. So Anne mentioned when that direct deposit is no longer hitting, every 2 weeks or once a month, it can be a real sort of jarring change in your life financially, even if you have planned. But downshifting can help in some ways. One is that you're able to delay Social Security. So working part time might let you defer your benefits, boosting your eventual monthly paycheck. Because I think we've talked about it on this podcast on a couple different episodes. But the longer you delay your retirement, if you can delay it all the way to age 70, you're actually growing your benefit by 8% in those years between your full retirement age and the delayed age of 70. And that can be a pretty significant cash flow bump for you once you do start to turn your Social Security on. You also have now a slower withdrawal rate from your portfolio. So we are planners. A lot of what we do is help our clients plan for retirement. How do we recreate that stream of income when they're no longer going to work? So by downshifting, because you are still working, you're able to then start that phase of your life with a lower withdrawal rate from your nest egg or from your portfolio. And that can, of course, improve sustainability of your assets, but also still give you the benefit of staying or keeping more of your money invested as you're transitioning to the full retirement phase of your life. And then one of the big ones, and this is a really big piece that becomes challenging for our clients when they decide to stop working, is how then do I have health care, especially if they retire before they're Medicare age eligible. So having access to health insurance still through an employer plan can also be especially beneficial when you're transitioning or looking to downshift from your work. And this can be a huge impact because, as you may know, healthcare premiums are not cheap. So if you are stepping away or wanting to step away from work, especially before the age of 75, downshifting can be a way to create that bridge for health insurance as well, which could be extremely beneficial both to your health and to your pockets.
Yeah. 65, right? The Medicare.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Medicare. Okay.
Thank you
Not to
for
freak
catching
people
that.
out like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My apologies.
65.
It's
No, that's
65.
okay.
Yeah. So there are some tips that we want to share if you are considering if a downshift makes sense for you. If you are a business owner, one way you can start to think about this is to find more tasks that you can delegate. As we mentioned, the things that you don't love, that drain you, delegate them to someone else, and then choose the projects that excite you, the things that make you want to get up and go every day. But then also make sure that you are time blocking, a phrase we use a lot on the Living Rich podcast, for the activities that you want to do more of. So, again, especially as a business owner, you've got a little bit more flexibility with that. Create the space and the time to still have the hobby, to still take the trip. If you are an employee, it's important for us to share that formal phased retirement programs are rare, but it may be something that you should have a conversation with your employer if you're interested in exploring it. So have a talk with your employer and let them know, hey, I'm looking to downshift a little bit. Is there a way we can make this work? And there may be an opportunity to create a customized benefit or some sort of a solution for you. Because I can tell you, as a leader, it's hard to see people retire, right? Especially when they've been with your team for a really long time. We had a really valued team member retire from our firm last year, and it was hard to lose her and to see her walk away. So your employer might actually be more open to the idea of a phased program rather than you just turning it off altogether. So if you're interested, consider at least having the conversation.
Yes. Next practical tip is to work with your advisor. So, if you are a client of ours, this is where we come into the picture and the conversation. And if you're not and you're interested in having these conversations, please reach out. We would be happy to have them with you. But one of our favorite things that we do with clients is we love running various scenarios inside of their financial plan And we do so in what we call the sandbox plan. And the reason we call it the sandbox plan is because this is where we get to play around. So it doesn't mean that this is what you're deciding to do. It doesn't mean that you're married to this or committed to this. We're just running some scenarios to see kind of like what if. So, what if I decide to downshift and my income gets cut in half? Or what if I decide to retire and go work in nonprofit? Or, what if I decide to sell my company? Or there's a million different what ifs that we can run. But this is really important before you go into making this decision to understand the impact of potentially downshifting on your financial position. And then the last tip we have is do not underestimate the power of your network. So, even if you try to have that conversation, like Atricia mentioned, with your employer, and maybe it is not something that they are willing to do, that doesn't mean that this is an option off the table. What we would recommend is that you let people know, let your network know that this is something you're interested in. Maybe you can pick up a consulting gig or a contract here or there. So, what happens in real life many times is it may not be a scenario where you can stay with your company, but somebody in your network may have the perfect opportunity for you, the right amount of time, the right sense of purpose that you could be fulfilled in. So please make sure that you keep that in mind for potential opportunities and communicate. And, tools like LinkedIn are a great place to post if you are interested in exploring opportunities, because that way you can kind of like blast out to your online network that this is something that you're interested in exploring.
Yeah. And LinkedIn also offers the benefit of you kind of seeing which of people in your network are hiring. Maybe they have the
Mm-hmm.
little badge on
Yep.
their profile that shows that they're actually looking for someone on their teams.
Yeah, exactly. But I will share that when I observe our clients who retire, I can say very confidently that I believe our happiest clients are those who have either done something like this, they've downshifted and they're extremely picky about the opportunities that they take on, but they are still involved in something, but then they have like lots of flexibility to travel and do the things they want to do. Or even if they haven't downshifted, they've retired into something that continues to give them that sense of purpose. So maybe it's a volunteer organization or, a new hobby that they've picked up. So even if it's not continuing to work and financially earn money, it is super, super important if you decide to fully retire, to retire to something, not just away from something. That is key, and that's the happiest clients that we see are those who have figured that out. We can take care of all the financial aspects, but you figure out how you're going to spend your time and how you're going to continue to feel purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. I was just having a conversation with a client. He's a medical doctor and thinking about retirement because he's working into his 70s, but it's because he still enjoys it. So it's not that he's running away from work, but he's definitely thinking about how I might be able to transition this. Like, should I do some medical consulting? Because he knows himself and knows that he probably would never be in a situation where he would want to not feel that sort of stimulation every
Mhm.
day in some way. So thinking about it, like, what is the next for me rather than retiring away from either this job that's been draining me? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just ready to hang it up. I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
tired. But then there's
right,
no what's next. I think
right.
considering what that what's next looks like is vitally important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we have talked about a lot of different things, but just to recap, downshifting can allow you to work longer while still having control and getting a bit more of that balance that we are all seeking, more time away, more time to spend with family and friends and doing the things that we love. It can help support you financially and help with that bridge that Atricia was talking about, from the financial aspects. It can improve your health, relationships, and overall happiness. And it does require planning, communication, and some courage. So that is our recap about downshifting. And hopefully that was helpful if this is something that you may not have considered as an option if you are getting close to making the decision about retiring.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So time for our closing thought of the day. So Atricia, what do you have for our closing thought?
So I was having a conversation with my sister, which I do a lot, and she's been in a really stressful time at work, just a lot going on. And my sister works for a company based in California, in San Francisco. So being on the East Coast and being in the different time zones sometimes means that she's working at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock our time because they're still around the office and doing things in California. But she was really stressed out and she was just like, oh my God, my anxiety is just accelerated and I got to figure out a way to like process this. So one of the things she does, she calls it vocalizing her anxiety, which I think is hilarious. She'll just like make noises to like say she's releasing it from her body, which helps. But one of the conversations we had in trying to process that, and I was just asking her these sort of questions, but I realized it might also be a good tool for me, a person who sometimes battles anxiety. So I kept asking her, well, what are you afraid of? Right? What is the thing that's triggering for you in your mind? What is this worst case scenario? And then having her actually talk it out and saying, well, the worst thing that could possibly happen is XYZ. And I said, okay, well, then if that happens, what does that mean for you? Like, would you lose your job? Would you be reprimanded? And she was like, no, I probably would just have to go back and redo this thing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, is that something that you could competently do? And she was like, well, yeah, obviously. And I was like, okay, well, it sounds to me like the worst possible thing that could happen is something that you could readily manage. And I think even just having that conversation with someone else, and she was like, "You know what? You're right. Like, nobody's gonna die, nobody's getting ill. If the worst case were to happen, I would still be okay." And I think us having that conversation really helped us process it, but it also made me realize, like, this might be some good conversations I need to have with myself. What is the absolute worst thing? Like, what am I afraid of? What is the thing I'm fearing? And then if that absolute worst case were to happen, could I manage it? And then just like reassuring yourself, like, yeah, it wouldn't be ideal, but I could absolutely manage what would happen in the worst case. And then just being like, okay. And then once you give yourself that realization, it's like, all right, well, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it was. So I just want to share that because it was, I think, helpful for her, but then it was also a reminder for me. So that's my new sort of tip to myself when I feel my anxiety ramping up. It's just to take a moment and ask myself, what is the worst case? And if that case were to happen, would I still be okay? And if the answer to that is yes, then I can take a deep breath and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I think that is so, so smart. Sometimes because our mind and like this is the lizard brain, right? This
Right,
is the part of the brain that gets scared or is on high alert because it perceives fear. But that part of our brain still thinks that there's like wild animals
right.
chasing us when in reality, like we are physically safe. Like it's very much just an emotional reaction to whatever we are perceiving. And I think that's so smart to name it and to speak it and to think, okay, worst case scenario, which the likelihood that the worst case scenario happens is very slim anyway. But even being able to identify that, I think is so, so smart. And it just like calms your mind down when you realize that you're not going to die. You're going to be okay.
Right. Yeah. When you remind yourself that, oh no, a bear isn't going to eat me. Right.
Yeah. There are no wild animals chasing me. I'm
Yeah.
scared about
No.
like a difficult conversation, but nobody's,
Right.
you know,
Right. But no one's going to die as a result of it. Like
yeah.
this will be okay.
Yeah, exactly. So funny. That's amazing. So, funny because my closing thought of the day is all about how we frame things. So I've
Oh.
been, yeah, so it's like very similar. And I've been thinking ever since, I did the course and when the instructor was saying like just take it easy and make sure it's easy, I started thinking like, what if because a lot of us like you come into meditation thinking it's going to be hard and thinking we're not going to do it right and thinking we can't turn our mind off and like what if we just came into so many things in our life with the framing or with the perspective that it's going to be easy, like how would we show up, how would we do the things, how would that feel? And actually it's funny that you mentioned the anxiety in the worst case scenario because my 8-year-old came downstairs, actually was logged on, later last night trying to get some things done, and he came
Mhm.
downstairs because he couldn't sleep and he was really scared. And I, very similarly to what you did with your sister, I was like, okay, well, what are you afraid of? Like, again, no wild animals are coming into the house. Like no one's breaking in, you're safe, you're loved, like, and just repeating, those positive affirmations. And I told him, like, choose what you focus on. Like right now, you're focusing on the fear and you're focusing on all the things that could go wrong. And that's why you're scared. But just choose to focus on the fact that you're in a warm bed in a loving home and you're safe. Like you have it going on, man. Like there's nothing you need to worry about, but you have to make that decision. It's so funny. Again, like we're always aligned, so not surprising at all. But yeah, just like what would it feel like? What would it look like? How would we walk through life and experience life if we, chose to focus on the positive versus the negative, and we chose to show up in life as if things should just be easy. Things should just be seamless. So try that on for size. I don't know. It may or may not resonate with you, but over the next week, just, think about if there's something hard going on, or if you're doing like a hard workout or whatever. Just, how would I show up if this were easy? And just try it on.
Love that.
Yeah.
Reframing it. Assuming everything is just going to be easy.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. I know a few people where I feel like that's their default nature. Like they are just like, whatever it is, it'll be fine. And I'm like, you're not worried about this, but it must be a really nice place to live in.
It's possible for us all to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, friends. Well, that wraps us for another week. Thank you again for tuning in. We always enjoy spending time, and we really appreciate you spending time with us. We realize there are so many things that you could be doing with your time right now. So thank you for sharing some of it with us. We will see you next week. And until then,
live richly.
Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Friendly reminder that this is for informational purposes only. For additional information, please visit us at www.curoprivatewealth.com. Until next time, live richly.